This video is with the Virus. The Virus is very similar to the Modus. It's a newer scan tool, and it's more of a tablet based on this, so I'll show you that in a minute. It comes with a dongle like this right here that you plug in, so there is no physical connection between the tablet and the car. So we plug in the dongle. We'll go ahead and do that. Plug it into the DLC. And also, when you're working with these scan tools, be careful. If you notice somebody wasn't very careful with this and they broke half of the DLC connector off. So these scan tools are extremely expensive. We don't have a lot of money to go buying new ones. So we have to be careful and use wisely what we have. So let's go ahead and turn it on. And like I say, this is a Windows-based tablet form, and so it does take a minute for it to boot up sometimes as we do it. So it's starting Windows, and once it boots up, it should give us the Snap-on scan tool program. Should come up, and we can click right into it. I had to turn the camera off there for a minute because it had to install all the updates and everything before it would start up. So it did take a little bit to boot up on this one. But it's almost there now. You can see the Snap-on program is starting up. And once the Snap-on program pops up, then I'll show you kind of how to navigate. The main functions of this scan tool is going to be very similar to the Modus. So if you haven't watched that video yet, go back and click on the Modus video and watch that video, because I go through all of the menu items on the Modus there. I'm not going to go through all the menu items specifically in this one. I'll just show you kind of how it works. So we've got a whole bunch of different options here. We got vehicle history, quick lookups, data manager, help, and system settings. We got scanner, we got OBD direct, guided compound tests, scope, SureTrack, repair information. These scan tools are designed, if you're working at a shop that's using one of these scan tools, they're designed to hook up to the internet. So you can hook these up to the internet, you can download all data right onto them, and that, unfortunately, our setup here at the school doesn't allow that. So we can just basically use it as a scanner. So that's what we're using it as. You can also use it as an oscilloscope. You got the 4 channels of the oscilloscope right up here on top as well. So we're going to go ahead and open up the scanner portion, and this is a touch screen, so you can just touch it and it opens up the scanner, and there it is. So these are all the makes and models that we can look at. So we're going to be doing a Pontiac, which is right here. So we'll click on the Pontiac, and there again I'm going to go with the automatic ID. It's usually the easiest. And so there's the VIN number. It's a 2002 Pontiac. So yep, that's the car I want to look at. So go ahead and click on that. And there again, here's you notice this menu is very similar to the one that we had on the Modus. So you got engine, transmission, ABS, airbags, all that kind of stuff, tire pressure monitor. You actually have oil specs and how to reset oil on this one. So this is kind of nice. You have a few more options. Let's go into engine and I'll show you how similar it is. So codes menu, code display, functional test, generic functions, and troubleshooter, just like we talked about before. So let's go to codes menu and display trouble codes, clear codes, freeze frame data, and DTC status. So like I say, if you don't know what these tabs do, go back and look at my video on the Modus where we walk through each one of those. So we're just going to go to codes or display codes. And then it'll ask you, there again, all powertrain, history, failed, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll go to all powertrain. No codes present, because if you watch the other video, we erased all the codes in the last video. Now to go back, there's a little back screen button up here, so we can just hit that to go back, and you can back up as much as you want. So we're just going to keep going back to the main menu here. And this is the same thing. You can go to special functions and do different things with the engine. So this functional tests, that's the same one where you can go in there and you can do the output controls is where we turned on the cooling fans, stuff like that. You can do the calibration pin or part number. So this will give you the calibration number of the PCM right there. So that's what calibration it has in it. So we're going to exit out of that. If you have to reprogram a PCM, you have to know that calibration number. So, and this will give you the VIN number of the vehicle, your crankshaft position sensor, learn, and all that kind of stuff. So it's all very similar to the Modus. Just a little, excuse me, a little more modern platform. So we'll say I'm all done. We'll say I'm all done using the scan tool. And I want to turn it back into the tool room. You need to make sure it's turned off properly. So in order to do that, we'll hit the home button down here. And that brings us back to this page. Over here, click exit. And that brings us back to the Windows page. Down here, now we're going to shut it off just like we would a normal computer. So click the home button down there, and we're going to go to, you can't see it very well on the computer, but it says Shutdown right here, and we're going to shut it down. And then it'll log off and shut down just like it does on a regular desktop computer. Yeah, so it's waiting for the background programs to close, and then it'll shut down. If you don't do that, if you don't go through this shutdown process and you just turn the power switch off and go turn it back into the tool room, all you did is put the computer to sleep. It's still powered up. So if this scan tool doesn't get plugged in, the battery goes dead. And so to save the battery life, if you shut it down properly before you take it into the tool room, then it doesn't drain the battery. And you'll know that it's shut down properly, because if it's not shut down properly, if you just put it to sleep, this little power button right here blinks red after the screen goes blank. And so if it's shut down properly, everything will be blank and you don't have to worry about it. So make sure that when you turn this back into the tool room, it does shut down properly. And if you notice, it takes a little while for it to shut down. So you can do this process, and while it's shutting down, then you can gather up the other tools that you're taking to the tool room, and you can carry this over while it's still shutting down and turn it back in. So, and the other thing that's good to mention on any scan tool is it's good to turn the ignition switch off, power down the vehicle before you unplug the scan tool. It's always a good practice to get into. You don't necessarily have to do that every time, but every time you unplug the scan tool from a car that's got the ignition switch turned on, you run the risk of corrupting files. It's just like unplugging a thumb drive off from a PC without ejecting the thumb drive first. So it's just one of those little tricks. So anyway, we'll wait for this thing to power down, then we'll finish the video. Okay, I've shut down this Virus properly, and if you notice, this is not blinking red. So that means that it's not asleep, it's actually powered down, and it won't drain the battery. So make sure that when you finish with the Virus, power it down properly so this little guy doesn't blink at you. And that concludes this video.